18 to 20. Oh, hey, caught me. I was just busy looking up some torque specs for the engines I've been working on. You guys know I've been rebuilding tons of engines lately, and I just wanted to make sure that I got it right. It's 18 to 20 foot-pounds for the heads. While we're talking about torque specs, how about I explain to you guys why we torque bolts, how we torque them, what it does to the gasket. If you run into any problems with understanding, stop, rewatch that part of the video, or comment below, and I'll answer those questions so that everyone can understand. All right, let's get to it. Let's start off with something simple, a bolt. In essence, a bolt is a spring. And as we tighten it in, it creates spring-like tension against whatever it's set to maintain. So what the torque does is it creates that set pressure. When we talk about gaskets, the gaskets need to be compressed. So this gasket, it's old and it's used, and it's thinner than the original version was. So what's happened is that bolt has created spring-like tension and compressed this gasket between two mating surfaces. Now, when we compress gaskets, we don't want to do it all at one time. I know that when we look inside the service manual, it's going to say torque to 18 to 20 foot-pounds. Now, if we take and we tighten one bolt right here, and we tighten it down to 20, watch what it does to the gasket. This is an exaggerated example. So if we tighten this bolt, this. So in essence, what we're doing is we're compressing the gasket totally on one side while leaving the other side thick. Now on longer surfaces, this can distort the aluminum or damage the gasket to the point where we have to replace the gasket again or it will fail. So although, again, to reiterate, it says 18 to 20 foot-pounds, but what I'm going to tell you are there's 3 steps to this, or sometimes even 2. What we're going to do is we're going to take all the bolts, put them all in, all the holes. We're going to snug them. Then what we're going to do is we're going to set our torque wrench, say if we've got to make it to 20 foot-pounds, set it to 10. We're going to go in a crisscross, we'll start from the middle. We'll go here, 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 and here. Now what that's going to do is it's going to walk or create a wave as it pushes the gasket surface up so that it can actually exit out through the top, and I'll explain it in a sec, and exit through the bottom. Now, if we don't do it that way, so if we went from this one to this one, then this one, there's no room for the gasket to expand and it will muddle itself somewhere in the middle and it'll create a weak point, so we won't compress it properly. So the analogy I want to use for you guys is if you think back in the kitchen years ago when Mom was making cookies or bread, she would take and she would set the rolling pin in the middle and go forward and backwards using the same amount of pressure. What that does is it pushes a wave of that dough, or in this case, the wave of the gasket, forward and backward, so that any air that's trapped in here or any material that needs to move out of the way is capable of moving out of the way. Right? I like that analogy. I think that works. Okay, so back to why would we start in the middle? If we start at the very top, for example, and we put this bolt in and we tighten this bolt in, think of this would happen. This gasket would go like this, or the whole assembly would do that, and we would have a space at the bottom. Now this is okay if we're using something that's small. So let's say, for example, we were tightening down something half this size. Okay? The strength of the material, not the gasket, but the material that we're tightening down, if we were to tighten down this one spot, it would more than likely compress enough or not distort enough to compress everything completely fine. But like I said, as we get longer, and we've got some heads that are this long, we need to start from the middle and work our way out again to create that wave to push everything apart so that, again, we get the maximum amount of compression everywhere that's needed. Now, another reason that we're going to compress is if we know that for sure it's sealed and we run the engine, and this is one thing that they don't tell you in the book, is once the engine runs, you should go back and re-torque the head bolts. Now, why is that necessary? As the aluminum heats up, so I've got the bolt in here and the bolt is squeezing, well, we'll make it look proper. The bolt is squeezing the head, and then there's the aluminum block on this side. As the engine heats up, the aluminum expands. And if you didn't torque these properly, it will compress the gasket even further as the metal expands, because the bolt isn't going to have any give forward or backwards. It's going to hold everything exactly where it's supposed to be. So when the metal expands, it has to go together, which then squeezes the gasket. Now, if you guys remember, or if you look back through my videos, I worked on a knockoff Yamaha. Now, this version of the Yamaha that came, it showed up with an extra head gasket. And I was thinking to myself, well, why would they send an extra head gasket? So I ran the engine for the guy, and then he took it out, and the head gasket failed. And then I thought to myself, I bet they just didn't run it at the factory. And that's why they send out the new gasket, thinking that anyone that runs this engine and runs into that problem is going to know that. So for all of you that are out there that purchase those two-stroke engines from overseas, if it comes with a head gasket, it's because it wasn't ran initially to begin with and they didn't retorque the head bolts. So that's definitely something you want to look into so you don't run into the same problem that my unfortunate customer did. It's all squared up. He was good to go, fixed everything. But when the engine overheated, what I needed to do, because again, it's a long surface and it's thinner than this one, right? Because it's on a 15 horsepower engine, or it was, there's a chance that it will warp or twist. So how do we check for that? It's very simple. We take a straight edge, I go with this metal one, and we set it across. And we would put a light in the opposite side that we're sitting on or looking through. So I would put the light closest to you over on this side. I hold it up and I look to see if I can see any light underneath where my ruler is. So I'll go through the middle, diagonal, diagonal, across, across, and across. If I see any light, then what I have to do is resurface the head. Now, you don't have to take this to a machine shop. What we have is sandpaper that's on our bench and it's glued in place. We'll flip the head over, we'll maintain adequate pressure on the head, and we'll just slide it back and forth, or in a figure eight, rotate it in case we're applying too much pressure in one area, and do it again until such time as all the surface area looks the same. If it is warped, what you're gonna find is probably here, 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 and are gonna be high spots, and they're gonna start to clear off first, but we wanna get it all to the point where it all matches. Now, if you're there for 15 or 20 minutes and you've taken tons of material off and you've still got a bit of shading that's here or here, run with it. Put it on, in all likelihood, it's gonna hold. It wouldn't have held if you hadn't done that in the first place to get those few thousandths of aluminum off of that head and taken care of. Now, another thing I wanna touch on is if you're putting bolts in and you're torquing them, we want, if they're dry, it's just normal torque value. Okay, if that makes any sense. Because when they figure out the amount of torque that we're going to use on a bolt, they're figuring on the amount of resistance that this surface is going to encounter as it tightens in. Okay? If we put it in wet, or you're in the habit of spraying some oil on here, unless it says to spray it, don't. So look in the manual. If it says to spray it and you spray it, you can actually torque it further, or it'll take more torque before it actually catches, and you'll get the wrong reading if it was supposed to go in dry. So let's be wary of that. Check the book. If you don't know for sure, check online, check your buddy, check someone that might know. But for the most part, most bolts that we do put in, we put in dry. So that means if you use anti-seize, your torque spec is going to be different with your torque wrench versus what you're actually torquing the bolt to. Okay. Now, another thing I want to touch on, and this is really important, and again, I apologize for using this dusty old one. Unfortunately, all the new ones I've installed already. But when we're compressing a gasket, and let's say, for example, you want to go to that 20 foot-pounds right off the start in one go, okay? As you put this in, you're gonna feel a little bit of resistance against the gasket. So as you tighten it in, as it starts to pinch the gasket, until such time as the gasket settles or crushes, you don't get a torque spec. You won't start rolling into the spring tension of the bolt, which means that, number one, you could over tighten this bolt based on you've compressed it too far, okay, because you've pinched this the composite material down too far, or by the time you get to the end, it might be loose. So what we want to do is we want to go through 2 or 3 times to recheck that they are all torqued, using a smooth method, not jerky, and don't look for a double click. A double click could possibly mean that you've gone 2 or 3 pounds heavier than you were originally. As soon as it clicks one time, you're done. Now, another thing I want to point out is torque wrenches wear out. You drop a torque wrench, things like that, throw it in the garbage, it's not going to work properly anymore. So what I recommend is if you do own a torque wrench, buy a second one. Now, when we originally purchased a torque wrench, it's guaranteed to be within a certain percentage of its recommended torque value. So for example, if it's supposed to pull 10 foot-pounds, it might do 9.999 or it might be 10.111 or something like that. It's that close, okay? The reason I say buy two is if we have a second one already, we can use the second one to verify that the first one is still pulling the numbers it's supposed to. If it's not pulling the numbers it's supposed to, it becomes garbage. Go buy another one. Always have 2 on hand to verify in case one has failed or you believe it has failed. Can we reuse bolts? For the most part in my industry, outside of being in salt water and stern drives, for example, and in some instances of Mercury product, if it's a Johnson or Evinrude and we take those bolts out, those bolts are going to be fine because we're only pulling it to 18 to 20 foot-pounds. Now that's the elastic range or elasticity range. What that means is when we pull that bolt out, in all likelihood, it's going to go back to its original shape. In other words, if we've stretched it a tiny bit or created that spring-like tension, it'll go back to the original size that it was. We can reuse that bolt. That's a regular torque method. If, for example, we're working on a V6 Mercury, there's a different type of torque spec that we use with that. We're gonna go say to we're gonna go to 30 pounds and then we're gonna pull 90 degrees. Now, what that does is it takes that particular bolt and it pulls it to its maximum amount of tension of elasticity before it comes plasticity. So once it's become plasticity, it's a single-use bolt. You throw it in the garbage. So that's head bolts on V6 and up, like the big long heads that, again, we're pulling those to massive amounts of torque. Or head bolts on a stern drive, because if we just pull them to 50 or we do them in stages and we get tighter and tighter, well, I don't know about stern drives. I'm just trying to think. We don't go 90 on those. I think some of them we did. Maybe it's the Mandela effect. I don't remember for sure. Let's stick with the outboards because I know for sure that in some models, that's the way it's done. Okay, preparation of the holes. So if we've got material that's stuck in here from when we originally took it apart and we slide said bolt down inside there, we could have resistance in that hole. Or we could have resistance inside where the threads go, some old Loctite or maybe some gasket material has gone down inside there. So when we spin the bolt in, we're creating friction. That friction can be detected by our torque wrench and throw the torque value off. So ream the holes out, clean them up, dry them, and then put them back together. Again, clean these holes out as well, not just the threads. Make sure everything is clean and ready to go. If, for example, you put the head on and the head is a little bit off center so that your bolt slides in and it's up against the edge, it's going to throw your torque value off. Make sure that you attempt to get this as centered as possible. Lightly put the bolts down in place to hold it in place so that it doesn't shift, and then you've got a bolt that's kind of go in a little bit at an angle. It's going to throw the torque value off. Will it hurt too much in a case like this? Well, we don't want to find out, do we? All right, let's talk about something this size. So this would be inch pounds that we're going to pull this to. And the order of operation really doesn't matter with something like this. We could go here to here, here to here, but the piece that's, again, is going to be strong enough that when it pushes it together, it's not going to distort that piece. What we want to do in a case like this is we want it just tight enough so that we can seal against the gasket and seal against the other side of the gasket with whatever we're bolting it to. Compression of something like this isn't important as just meeting up with it snugly so that it seals. Clean both surfaces, of course, and make sure that they're smooth, then put this in. If something like this isn't gonna seal and you've tightened it as tight as it'll go and you've reefed on it with your 1/4 inch ratchet and you just keep pulling and it keeps leaking, take it off, get your ruler out and see what's going on, right? Maybe somehow something was lodged underneath it or something at one time and it distorted this piece, or it got hot enough that it distorted the piece. It doesn't happen very often, but it could, and that would be why it doesn't seal. If all else fails, put an aviation sealer on here and stick it back together. It's what I would do. I guess I've ran through, I think, pretty much everything I wanted to say. I know that I was on the treadmill today and I was talking about this in my head and getting some ideas of what I wanted to tell you guys about this. So if I missed anything, please, by all means, comment below. If you disagree with anything I said, comment below. I want for everyone to get the right answer. It's just how I do stuff when I'm here, and that's what I'm trying to translate to you guys so that you guys get it right when you're putting stuff together. But if you've got other ways of doing it or other views, for sure, comment below. And in the meantime, check out these videos. I really appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.